Welcome to Nugget 142 with Steve Groman, and today we are going to go on a trip to the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park.
It is a beautiful place, is it not?
Yes, it is. It's located in western Colorado. Definitely not on the beaten path. It is off the beaten path.
If somebody has time, they should make a trip.
Actually, it is phenomenal.
It is. Majestic is one word for it in my mind.
And we are going to be talking about the write-up in this book, The Guide to National Parks of the Southwest, and it's one of my favorite books. I definitely have the goal of going to every single one of the parks that's listed in this book, and we about have knocked that out.
All right, let's read this article. It says, that first view of the deep, dark gorge of Black Canyon of the Gunnison will steal a person's breath away. At the very bottom flows a tiny ribbon of clear, green water, the stream that carved this remarkable chasm. That's a big chasm for a stream to carve.
The Gunnison River is the agent responsible for creating Black Canyon, and it took only about 2 million years to perform the task, a flash in the pan compared to the age of the rock through which the river cut. The craggy brown, gray, and black cliffs are nearly 2 billion years old. It's the basement of the Earth, some of the oldest rock anywhere, transformed underground by extreme heat and pressure into metamorphic gneisses and schists, hard as forged iron. What do you have to say about that?
Well, that's an interesting paragraph, isn't it? That's amazing. It took about 2 million years to perform this task. There's no way they know that. That would be an assumption. And they say that the rock is 2 billion years old. Once again, that's an assumption. They have no way to know that that rock is 2 billion years old. You know, I would have a question because why did the river show up 2 million years ago? Where did it come from? Where was it before then? What happened? They just make these statements and they come out as though they're factual and everybody, ooh, wow, and all that. But where's the evidence of any of this? It has nothing to do with it. You know, more often than not, most of the canyons that you're going to see anywhere on this earth, they were formed at the time of the flood, Noah's flood. And the water's just running through the lowest points. That's all. It didn't mean that the water carved the entire thing from the top all the way down. It just means when the mountains rose, the valley sank down, that low spot has the water.
When the mountains arose and the valley sank down, and the big washout when you talk about Noah's flood. But then they were talking about how this is some of Earth's oldest rock, and it was transformed underground by extreme heat and pressure into metamorphic gneisses and schists, hard as forged iron. That sounds like the mechanism of the Great Flood.
You realize the amount of pressure, the amount of heat, the amount of movement, activity, and everything at the time of the flood. Same day, all fountains of the great deep broke up. We know what one volcano does today. Can you imagine all this stuff going on everywhere all at the same time? Massive, massive disruption.
The formation of that ancient rock is the first chapter of Black Canyon's geologic story. I would beg to differ, but it's the first chapter of the book of Genesis.
Yes, absolutely.
Then molten granite wedged into joints in the metamorphic rock. These pink and white streamers lend fascinating artistry to the slate-gray walls, showing to best effect on the 2,000-foot-high painted wall on the canyon's north side. Still, the schists and gneisses remained in the basement. Somehow, that crystalline rock had to be exhumed and sliced through by the river. So the river is cutting through this extremely difficult hard rock.
That is what they say.
It's quite an erosive river,
I'm
isn't
thinking the rock happened and then the river's running through.
It is actually very, very amazing, these streaks that are through
they're
there.
beautiful.
And we don't see that a lot of places.
Correct.
This may be the only place that we've actually seen it in such a grand scale. It is gorgeous, but it's just effects of the flood.
When you have all the mechanism of the flood and the heat and the pressure and the molten activity coming up, because the fountains of the great deep, it was not just volcanic, it was not just water, it was a multitude of everything. And so yes, molten material is going to find its way through cracks and crevices and things in rock, and it's going to leave evidence of that, and that's what it does.
It just kind of filled in
the
cracks.
Kind of like a dentist does.
Oh, don't bring those guys up. About 60 million years ago, this core rock was warped up along with the entire Rocky Mountain region. Some 30 million years later, a period of riotous volcanic activity in the West Elk and San Juan Mountains overlaid the block with basalt and ash.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me stop right there. Notice this. 60 million years ago, this happened, and 30 million years ago, this happened, and period of activity and such. Once again, pure belief and understanding. Their belief system is all it is.
Right, and I want to interject that right now. We want you to go to these fabulous places with your family.
Yes, enjoy them. They're
Do
beautiful.
read the signs, because a lot of times they have a lot of good historical information on them. The geologic information, you'll just have to understand and realize and explain to anyone and everyone that you have an influence on that the time frames are what's wrong. When they do discuss heat, pressure, water, all these effects do create these features, but it's in a short time frame, as explained by the flood.
Right, they definitely happen. It was
not
just
explained how they explain it.
Correct. These volcanic cap rocks controlled the course of the Gunnison. With renewed uplift that raised the schists to 8,000 feet above sea level, the now entrenched river could only cut straight into the heart of the core. And so today, western Colorado is graced by Black Canyon, one of the deepest, steepest canyons on the continent. That's true. It is one of the deepest, steepest.
And it certainly is. You have to get right on top of it to even be able to look down. It's
And
not
then when
wide
you do,
at all.
you realize this is massive.
At Warner Point on the south rim, the chasm is 2,772 feet deep. Before we wrap this up, I do want to read something from one of the signs that are there at the park. The Great Unconformity. The thin, light tan layer you see on the canyon rim is Entrada sandstone, a mere 165 to 170 million years old. The rock immediately below it was formed in the Precambrian period and is about 1.75 billion years old. More than 1 billion years is absent from the geologic record of the Black Canyon. Many parks say this. What can you remind us about this unconformity?
Obviously that this is just their belief system, because there's no way, how in the world could ever, anywhere, there be 1 billion years of missing record? Obviously something happened. Even if it was there, what happened to it during that time? Where are the rainstorms that would have brought stuff in? Where's erosion? Where are earthquakes? And where are all kinds of activity that would take place within 1 billion years of time? There's no way, but yet it is cut off flat. That's what moving water would do. What the Bible shows as a mechanism, the time of Noah's flood, the flood happened 40 days and 40 nights, rain, then the waters upon this earth, covering even the tops of the mountains for 150 days. Then the mountains rose, the valley sank down, and going back and forth for another 150 days. And the fact of the matter is, that is the only thing that can explain this type of evidence.
It's true. It's always the Bible that gives all the explanations that we need for this gorgeous, phenomenal...
That's why we always need to go back and check there and see what it says about anything.
Thank you.